You probably don't need me to tell you this. We are lonely. Today, 1 in 3 people says they feel alone. But here is the twist. Just a few centuries ago, loneliness wasn't even a word. So what happened? Was it the decline of religion, the rise of capitalism, or even our obsession with romantic love? The very thing we thought would save us. The story of loneliness is strange, accidental, and centuries in the making. From medieval villages where life revolved around the same familiar faces to today's endless scrolling through strangers' lives. Loneliness has become our uninvited guest. Let's discover how we became the first generation to be together everywhere and still feel alone. Picture this. Humans have always been social. First tribes, then villages, and then kingdoms, always bound by family ties. In medieval Europe, most people never traveled more than 20 miles from their homes. Their neighbors, lifelong friends, strangers for them, almost non-existent. And being alone wasn't negative. It was associated more with spirituality, like monks in different religions would seek solitude to connect with the divine. In the word loneliness, it did not even appear until around 1670. So back then, it wasn't the emotional gut punch it feels like today. Another significant binding force was religion. It gave people a sense of community and belonging. Like people would say, you could not feel alone in a world filled by God. Sure, loneliness existed, but rarely, and not as the epidemic we face today. So how did we go from neighbors we knew for life to doom-scrolling strangers? Back then, the world was ruled by churches and kings until the Renaissance flipped the script. Rebels like Petrarch with his poetry of personal passion and Martin Luther defying the church with his fiery conviction started to put the individual in charge of their own life. This is like today's follow your own path mindset. They did not ditch religion completely, but they planted seeds of doubt, sparking a revolution of individual freedom. Then came Thomas Hobbes, writing during England's bloody civil war. His words in Leviathan, life in nature was horrible. He argued individuals, not divine rulers, should call the shots. Sounds empowering, right? But here is the catch. The more we put the spotlight on me instead of us, the more cracks started to form in our sense of community. Those cracks are the early fault lines of modern loneliness. You might think, how could these fully reasonable ideas resulted in modern loneliness? Here is the thing. Our actions have long shadows. Every choice reshapes the future in ways nobody expects. By rejecting kings and churches that ruled with fear, we built a more humane society. But in the process, we weakened another deep human need, the urge to belong, to be a part of something bigger. Hobbes' ideas made total sense in his time, but putting individual at the center came at a cost. Still, that was just the beginning. The real earthquake came with capitalism and industrialization. People left their villages, moved farther away than ever before, and crowded into booming cities. For the first time, they lived among strangers. Think about it. Our ancestors might meet fewer strangers in an entire lifetime than an industrial worker would in a single week. The result? More people living alone. And loneliness as a feeling is highly correlated to living alone. Even casual connections like greeting a neighbor somewhat feed our need for human connection. But as cities grew, those bonds thinned out, and right around this time, the word loneliness itself started to pick up emotional weight. Capitalism did not just change how we worked, it changed how we saw ourselves. Human beings became, in a sense, commercialized, and the pursuit of wealth or material possessions became the center of life. Needs grew, or at least the things we thought we needed did. And slowly, happiness or contentment was redefined, not as having a sense of community or a sense of meaning, but as buying. The loss of religion's meaning was patched over with material possessions, and the loss of human relationships covered by chasing external validation. But it did not work, because no matter how much people buy or how much external validation they get, the craving increases. It's a hedonic treadmill. You keep running, but you never arrive. And Will brought another social twist. Studies show that on average, people with higher socioeconomic status often show less empathy and less pro-social behavior. The richer we became, the higher inequality, the weaker our social glue. Some even began giving personal meaning to material objects, anthropomorphizing possessions to fill the void inside. It's a strange substitution, friendships replaced by furnitures. But the lonelier we got, the more we turned to a new cure, romantic love. The idea that one single person could replace the entire village of bonds we once had. Previously, marriage was about survival, necessity, or family ties. But romanticism elevated personal passion. A desire is life's highest goal. As someone said, the void left by God was tried to be filled with romance. Now, happiness means finding your other half. Miss it, and you're incomplete. Find it, and you soon discover that no single person could carry the weight of all your social needs. Then came competition. Previously, tribes competed against each other, but capitalism and romance moved the competition inward, person against person, the war of all against all. And finally, social media, the amplifier. It exploded competition and comparison into every corner of life. Social attention has become a currency. We stopped forming bonds around real relationships, rather built our identities to display online. We don't just compare, we doom scroll, looking for ourselves in an imaginary mirror. And loneliness is contagious. Studies even show that it spreads like an infection. And through social media, it has become an epidemic. So here we are, billions of people, more connected than ever, but more alone than ever. Loneliness wasn't designed, it wasn't planned. It is a butterfly effect, the unintended consequence of numerous decisions that once made perfect sense. I will leave you with this. What do you think is the biggest driver of modern loneliness? And more importantly, what can we do together to break free from it?